this edition of the Business Outlook podcast. I'm your host, Kylie Garcia, regional real estate reporter for the Albuquerque Journal. Today on the show, I've got Jason Harrington, the CEO of HB Construction, an Albuquerque general contracting firm that's been around since 1991. Today we talk about how far the world has come since then, particularly in relation to AI, how companies like HB are using AI, and how AI is shaping the construction industry as a whole. So thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show.
If you enjoy our podcast, please like and subscribe and consider becoming a digital subscriber to the Albuquerque Journal to help us bring you more content like this. You can find this episode and all of our podcasts on the Albuquerque Journal website, abqjournal.com, as well as YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. See the show notes for a discount code on a digital subscription. Thank you for supporting the Albuquerque Journal, New Mexico's leading news.
I'm joined today by CEO of Albuquerque-based HB Construction, Jason Harrington, CEO. Jason, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, excited to be here. Thanks, Kylie.
So we're going to be talking today about the technology that seems to be on everyone's mind lately, AI. But before we get into that, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your background, where you're from, how you got into construction, and kind of what you were up to before CEO of HB?
Sure. So we are definitely a construction family. Our family is originally from Nebraska. In fact, our parents are high school sweethearts from a small town called Hastings, Nebraska. And after they got done with high school graduation, my father enlisted in the Army to go to Vietnam. And the reason he did that is because he knew he couldn't afford college. Mm-hmm. And so he got the GI Bill, finished his tour in Vietnam, came back to Nebraska, enrolled at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, and went to go pursue his dream, which was being an architect, actually. Mm-hmm. And after 2 years of studying architecture, his advisor pulled him aside and said, "Mr. Harrington, you are terrible at architecture, and you really need to think about a different career path."
Wow.
And he said, "Well, I am on the GI Bill and I'm running out of money. So tell me what I need to do to get out of here as soon as possible." So the advisor said, "Listen, we can transfer a lot of your credits to construction management." And my dad says, "Don't know anything about it, but if it'll get me out of college, let's do it." Mm-hmm. And so that's how my family got in the construction business.
Wow, that's so cool.
So we traveled a lot. He joined a general contracting firm, moved to Colorado, moved to Farmington, New Mexico, moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and we fell in love with it. We loved Albuquerque. We loved New Mexico. We wanted to plant our roots here. And really the only way that we could do that was to start our own construction company. Mm-hmm. And I vividly remember our mom and dad sitting my brother Adam and I down at the kitchen table and saying, "We're going to start a construction company. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to quit my job and we're going to do this." And it was one of the most courageous things that they could have done. But it's been an amazing experience. It actually helped me fulfill my dream, which was to work with my dad. Mm-hmm. I knew what I wanted to do since I was 10 years old. What I didn't know is my dad's goal was to teach my brother and I the construction business so he could retire. Mm-hmm. So he did that in 2005, and so I've been the CEO ever since. My brother's our CFO.
Wow, what a neat startup story.
Yeah.
And so when did HB Construction first start to sort of integrate the use of AI into its operations? And what was the approach early on? Was it more so baby steps, slow and steady, or was it full-on embrace?
Yeah, I think you could say that our journey into AI was similar to what most people are doing nowadays, which is, not some grand rollout at all. In fact, it was probably led by individuals who were experimenting with it for their personal use, and then started to bring it into the workplace, and we started to talk about it. And I think really what that did is it helped normalize the technology mm-hmm. and make it not so intimidating. And really what we did as a company is we took a more measured approach. For us, we weren't trying to jump on a trend, but we knew we couldn't ignore it mm-hmm. either. And so our priority early on was figuring out how do we support and keep it safe. We put a policy in place. We did training of what AI can do and can't do. And most importantly, we focused on protecting our data and our clients' data. Because construction isn't just about bricks and beams, it's about trust. And we needed to make sure that our systems reflected that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what year roughly was that when you guys started taking that journey?
I think 2021, 2022.
Yeah. And so can you describe the ways in which HB Construction is currently using AI in its operations? Tell me about some of the real world applications and the tools and platforms that you guys are using.
Yeah, I think where we've seen the most traction is in AI's ability to help us with small repetitive tasks. There's a lot of time taken by project teams, specifically with like summarizing reports or drafting internal documentation or helping prep meeting materials. And, it's not flashy, but it's impactful. It saves our teams a lot of time. And that time can be spent on our clients, supporting them and working with our trade partners. And so we've seen a huge benefit from it. And so, if you get the right AI workflow, what was taking them hours is now taking them minutes. And they'll be able to reallocate that time towards more productive things. So I think another area where we've seen it emerge as a potential strong impact for us is creating prototype small utilities that allow us to speed up internal workflows. So instead of us paying a third-party developer and waiting months for something to get built, we're able to real quickly, with agility, be able to try things out. Just try new things, which makes more sense from a timeline and budgetary standpoint for a mid-sized construction company like us.
Yeah. And so helping with some of the behind the scenes research, the prepping for a project, cost estimations, the timelines, helping with, does it help at all with timeline and developing kind of how a project will work over months or years?
Well, it does help a lot with pre-construction planning, allowing us to hit the ground running when we start a project. We're seeing it a lot with schedules, with quality control, sort of automating those things. That one of the things that our project teams spend a ton of time doing is going to different systems that we use and pulling that data and putting it together. And so what it's done is automated that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so you kind of touched a little bit of the benefit of just streamlining things and not spending as much time on those tedious tasks. Are there any other benefits that you've seen so far or anticipate seeing as you guys continue to use AI in your work and seeing it be more helpful in some applications than others?
Yeah, one of the biggest ways that we're seeing it impact us is we're able to process and understand data faster. So I talked about those project teams and they're pulling data from different places. Well, that takes a lot of time, but also what's happening now is we're providing the context to the decision makers before they make the decisions. And so that's been powerful for us. They've got more data. Instead of combing through everything to try and, connect the dots for a decision that needs to be made, they have that at their fingertips. So we're making better decisions. We're making decisions earlier. And that's something that the big national firms used to be able to do with deep pockets. But now the game has changed. So now smaller teams can be more nimble and agile.
So you're seeing an increase of like accessibility to this technology versus in the years past when it was just for, the big dogs.
Absolutely. You don't need to have a big budget. You don't need to have an AI team.
Yeah, that makes sense. On the flip side, are there any challenges or considerations that come with adopting AI in an industry like construction, and how have you sort of navigated those?
Well, one of the biggest challenges for us is the cultural shift. Construction is still and will be in the foreseeable future very hands-on, experience-driven industry. And so there's a healthy skepticism around new tech. Prove to us that it makes us safer. Prove to us that it improves our quality. And prove to us that it can help us with schedule and financial success of the projects. So we've been very deliberate about how we talk about AI internally. We emphasize that it's a tool, not a replacement for human knowledge. In fact, we believe that the human element is going to become even more important. The judgment, the creativity, the empathy is going to be more valuable as technology takes over the repetitive stuff. So what we've also done is we doubled down on training and development. Because if you want AI to be effective, You need people who can think critically about how and when to use it. We're not trying to turn our project superintendents into, programmers or coders, but we do want them to know enough to ask smart questions and identify opportunities.
Kind of develop some of that technological literacy and still being able to use it, like you said, as a tool without depending on it.
Yeah, know when it makes sense to use it and when it doesn't.
Yeah, that makes sense. What advice would you give to others in the industry who may be still, like you said, on the fence about AI and how to go about using it in their work and where to even start with that?
Start small, stay curious. Maybe it's, I like I said, you don't need an AI team. You don't need to invest six figures into something like this. Focus on one pain point, one thing that you're struggling with. And maybe it's project documentation. Maybe it's an onboarding checklist. And see how AI can help with that. And you're going to learn a lot, and you're going to learn it fast. And remember that, this is a great time to be entrepreneurial. AI is leveling the playing field. Like we talked about, the small companies with the right mindset can be hugely impactful here. They can move faster and smarter than the big companies with a bloated tech stack. And so, we try to encourage that same entrepreneurial spirit within our project teams. There's some value in being not too small and not too big. But what we're seeing is, if you can think of a better way to do it, let's try it.
Yeah.
And AI is making that more of a reality.
Yeah. And so looking ahead to the future, how do you see the role of AI kind of evolving in your company? And how do you see AI shaping the future of the construction industry as a whole?
Well, we see AI moving forward in a supporting role and not a starring role. Construction at the end of the day is about people coming together to build something in the real world. And you can't automate relationships, and you can't automate trust. So, with that being said, AI is going to increasingly impact the pre-construction planning, the schedule, the quality control. It's going to allow what it's going to allow us to do is identify problems earlier, and be able to mitigate those risks, be more transparent with our owners, but I think the real long-term impact for AI is how it's going to empower the workforce. Whether it's enabling a project team to work on a more complex project, or just giving field teams better access to real-time information. AI can act as a multiplier. It's not a replacement, though.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Well said. So to end it on kind of a fun one, if you could build any structure from all of history using today's technology and maybe AI tools, what would it be and why?
Well, I've spent my career building buildings, but I do think it would be super interesting to see how AI can positively impact building bridges, particularly the safety of building bridges, the Golden Gate Bridge, the London Bridge, Ponte Vecchio in Florence, Italy. But I guess as far as a historic building, it would probably be the Library of Alexandria. So the Library of Alexandria was built in Egypt. It was demolished in about 300 AD. But the whole concept of the Library of Alexandria was that is where they were going to store all human knowledge. Everything that humans knew was going to be stored in this Library of Alexandria. And I think that kind of mirrors what AI is looking to do. So I think there's just a lot of connection points between that building and AI, and it would be really interesting to see how AI could impact the building of that and then the operation of that building moving forward and how it would update.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how over the course of history, humans striving for, a place or a thing that's going to have all this knowledge.
Yeah, but I do think, looking back historically is great, but I do think the ultimate measure of AI is going to be how it how it helps us tackle challenges and quality of life issues moving forward. Challenges like affordable housing, quality of life issues. The built environment has a huge impact on the quality of life that we lead. And so I think ultimately that will be the success of AI.
Yeah. Well, time will tell as it continues to unfold, but that's all I have for you today. So, Jason, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate your time, and thanks for coming and sharing your insight with us.
Yeah, those were great questions. I'm so excited that you were interested in talking about this. I think right now is a really exciting time in the construction industry, and thanks for your time.